Like, I suppose, is that where I've sort of noted down, where should clients focus on, rather than having a, should they just focus on, healthier eating? Is that an easier way to put it, where, don't be up about it if you've maybe had a Chinese on a Saturday night, but ensure that the 6 days after that, or on that 6 day basis, they should be eating relatively healthier?
Yeah. The term diet is it's a double-edged sword at times as well. You want to make sure that it's all focused. So, it's the best way I can put this. Don't think about diet. Healthy eating, we all know good food, we all know bad food as well. And it has to come from a place of happiness and sustainability as well. You don't want to have a problem with taking food. We can't live in a society nowadays where we don't have processed food in our diets. We need to have certain levels of food. Again, one day or one cheat meal does not derail the system. Again, that's where the terminology of the diet. Healthy eating should make you feel better. It should also, we should have the nutritional knowledge, I think, to know where we're going. So for instance, myself, I'll just use myself as an example. I haven't followed a calorie counted diet in probably 6-7 years now, and that's because I've had the foundation of doing a calorie restrictive diet. I know what works for me. So what I like to do is with clients is, and the best diet I recommend is doing a food journal. That's a huge part, because people the inner voice in their head would sometimes say, oh, well, I don't have that much bad food today.
Yeah.
But if you actually are accountable to yourself and actually write down or do MyFitnessPal and you see the food that you're eating, you're holding yourself accountable to what you're putting in your body. And what you put in your body is ultimately what's going to fuel you and make you feel better. So if you're eating more good food rather than bad food, yes, you're going to get results. We can't aim, I think in society today, we're trying to aim for perfection.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get 100%, and if you lose 5%, it's like, oh, that's it, gone, can't do it anymore. And it's such a hard way to be. We just need to be able to, have that balance in life. So what I recommend is always write down the food journal, see where we're at first.
Yeah.
Track your body fat analysis. What is your ultimate goal? Is it to put on weight, put on muscle? We need to know those factors as well. And then, scrap the term diet, roll about, scrap it, don't think about it. Healthy eating, have a good relationship with food. Like I say, I've done personally every diet out there, and they all work, but what works for you at different stages of your life. So you need to have, like, healthy eating is, just putting good food in, more good food in than bad food as well. Like, there is no specifically bad food. If I was coming to the gym, I would like to have a little bit of sugar coming in, maybe in the intra-post or intra-workout, post-workout as well. So people demonize sugar so much. We can't live in this day and age without sugar.
And I suppose it probably depends. Like, it probably rolls into what my next question would have been, was that, like, it depends what your training is as well. So for example, like Ricky, that I'm training for the running, doing a lot of running, so like carbohydrates and even sugars would be quite substantial within what I would need to draw off. Whereas for other people it's high protein, depending on whether it's depending on what they may be doing in the gym and stuff like that. So it rolls back to that sort of where one diet doesn't fit all, but it also rolls back into what your training is. It could also be what your job is, for example, whether you're on your feet for so long. That all kind of morphs into lifestyle, as you just discussed there, and diet and training all sort of kind of comes into one. So as you say, being accountable for that is going to be extremely difficult, and sticking to one specific diet within you maybe having a very busy lifestyle could also be extremely difficult. Whereas if you flip it to be accountable by what you're putting in, but eating healthier and eating good food will be easier than sticking to, say for example, I can only eat protein today.
I think the best way I can put this is you have to have a trigger point or a pain point to get over that initial hurdle of, if you are on a diet, people say, well, I can't focus, I can't not have this food for 8, 10, 12 weeks, I don't like doing that. you're not going to be able to change because you're not prioritising. And that's where I think you have to ask yourself deep down, you know, how badly do I want to change lifestyle? How badly do I want to change my body composition? Do I want to feel more confident in myself? Do I want to do it for health reasons as well? The problems that eating so many processed foods, I mean, the risks of illness and disease just go up tenfold as well. And that's the culture that we're in now, you know, instead of eating kind of more organic, natural food, that we're eating more processed foods. We were talking about eating protein and eating carbs, like for instance, you're doing a lot of running. Yes, the carbs want to give you that sustainable energy throughout the run. So we haven't that before. It's time release is a huge thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're going to feel quite hungry if you only ever eat carbs. So if you eat 20, 30 grams, or say 300 calories of porridge oats in the morning time, within about 2 hours you're probably really, really hungry, because carbs hasn't worked on that satiety as well. Whereas if you have a protein meal and a fat meal, and a little bit of carbs but more protein and fat, that's going to fill you up for longer as well. So when do you need the energy? You have to look at your day. You have to look at, you know, well, when do I have the energy, son? What are my training goals? What's my ultimate goal? And then factor in what kind of foods you need pre and before. But like I said, that point, I'll tell you a wee story. What works for me really well is I'm competitive, so that's my accountability. I have to be a certain weight, a certain strength levels most of my career as well. But I remember going to, this is probably 10, 12 years ago, going to Poland and doing a tour of Auschwitz. It was an enlightening experience. It was a very surreal experience. But I remember going into the bunkhouses, and I remember looking at where people slept, and they were literally sleeping on mud floors, and then there was a wee balcony up, stone balcony, and then the second person would sleep above that. And they were allowed watered down vegetable soup and blue molded bread, and they'd be lucky to get that twice a day, maybe just once a day, and they worked for about 18, 19 hours a day, and then maybe 4 or 5 hours sleep. So looking at that, they ate to live, ate to survive, and their willingness to live was so great. They were like, I'm going to survive, I'm going to live, I don't care if I'm not getting enough food. And a lot of them were emancipated, a lot of them were dying because of malnutrition as well. But when they got out of the concentration camps when wars ended, you know, instead of going, I'm going to binge in this, they looked at good food. They're so thankful for having that good food, you know, real food, real meat, real carbohydrates from the ground, that they never really wanted anything bad. You know, they didn't want sugars or artificial stuff as well. They were just so happy to be alive. I think in today's life, we all have so much abundance, but and that's what's hard to make the right choice.
And there's a selection as well, you know, like when to put it even, go walk into a supermarket and, like, you know, there's aisles upon aisles upon aisles upon aisles of food, you know, so like when there's so much of a variety and selection there, you know, it's quite easily to walk past the fruit and veg aisle and go to the other ones which are clearly not fresh, you know, and therefore, because of that selection, people can very easily fall off what we would say the bandwagon. You know, all you have to do is walk into a shop and it's very easily done.